All right, rock and roll. Welcome one, welcome all to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I am your host, John, and if you could be so kind, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And here we welcome all, friend and foe, sinner and saint, and we aim for a more raw, unabridged view of what's going on in the world of politics. It does seem to me, and I think to a lot of people out there, especially from the comments, that we don't really trust legacy media as much. I'm not going to say fake news, but I think that there's a lot of things that they do that are corrupted by money, power, and access. And I don't think we're actually getting a view that the people really can understand and can relate to. Here we hold all accountable. We're taking no sinners. We're taking no prisoners. Telling no lies, okay? Maybe I'm the sinner, okay? As we get ready for this Memorial Day weekend, let's burn it all to the ground, everybody. All right. I got to say, this is one of my favorite days of the year. Mission Impossible is coming out. I cannot wait to see it. Oh my gosh, the hallelujah. Thank you, Tom Cruise, for bringing this franchise back from the dead. All right. We have some somber news to start out the day. It seems like last night at the two Israeli embassy staff members were killed in a shooting outside Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. The couple were about to be engaged, according to Israel's ambassador to the United States. It's a tragedy. People get killed every day in America. Of course, this is going to be used as a political curmudgeon. It's going to be used as basically, anti-Semitism. You know what's coming from the Trump administration. The sole suspect was identified as a 30-year-old gentleman named Elias Rodriguez from Chicago who chanted "Free, Free Palestine." Eyewitnesses told CNN that he waited for the police to arrive, and he said, "I did it for Gaza." President Trump said anti-Semitism, hatred, and radicalism have no place in the United States. I didn't remember him saying that at the Charlottesville, but maybe I'm wrong. Attorney General Pam Bondi was actually on the scene, spoke with Trump. She said she will do everything she can to keep the citizens safe. I don't know what she did about January 6th, but let's move on from that. Let's look deeper into the political argument. That if you remember back in the early 2000s, when we went into Iraq, everybody was on board. Everybody was on board. They got weapons of mass destruction. We're going to go take care of Afghanistan. We're going to take care of the Taliban. Everything's going to be good. We're going to walk out here in a year. Dick Cheney infamously said, in a year, Iraqi citizens will look at us as heroes. Well, maybe not so much, right? But one of the more forward-thinking thoughts that came out was the defense secretary was as hardliner of a human being as you could be, was Donald Rumsfeld. History of being a hawk on a hawk. And he was worried about going into Iraq for making generations of terrorists. And basically what happens is you go into a country, people are walking down the street, U.S. soldiers are there, they don't know who the good guy or who the bad guy is. Sometimes they make a mistake, like the Black Hawk shooting in 2004. And what happens is the people see what's going on. Yeah, okay, they try and do some good, but they're killing my brother, my father, my sister, whatever that is. And that's where you get people who strap on, grenade vest and things like that, and they go, I don't really care. That's the jihad, right? I don't care if I lose my life. I'm going to take out as many of them as I can. And when you have a war, past 18 months where these Palestinian people are getting ruthlessly bombed, inundated with shots and weapons, and not getting any humanitarian aid. Israel is literally trying to suffocate them on both sides. They're trying to destroy them with the bullet and the gun, and they're also trying to starve them and give them no medical help, no water, no anything. Well, what do you think is going to happen? I am not in any way endorsing what this guy did, but I understand it. The media is going to be like, oh, that's just terrible. It is. No argument. But understand where this comes from. We don't know the backstory of this guy, but everybody, and there's a hotel I go to in Vegas, and this gentleman has relatives in the Gaza Strip. And he literally, he won't say it. We don't know each other that well, but he's like, what the United States is doing is terrible. And I can just tell from the tone in his voice, this guy has no love for what's going on. And he has no love for what the Israelis are doing. I am separating what Netanyahu is doing from the people, okay? Netanyahu is a wartime president who is just a ruthless vato. He is somebody who has no soul, and he's worse than any gangster we have. I mean, this guy, Trump is a pussy compared to him, right? This guy, just go in there, kill them all, and then we'll try and figure it out later. All right, so be it. But what you do is you make generation after generation of terrorists. You have people who go, you know what, the Israelis, they just kept coming in and they kept coming and they kept coming. They wouldn't let us have food. They wouldn't let us have water. They wouldn't let us have medical care. Hell, last week they bombed the last working hospital in Gaza. Jesus Christ, what do you think is going to happen to those people on the ground or people who know those people? Hey, Dearborn, Michigan, how is that protest vote going for 2024? You really showed Kamala. Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Let's get to the next thing that happened yesterday. And our idiot president, Donald Trump, brought the South African president in, and seems like he had a lot of stuff to say. Yeah, I know. Oh, God. I can't even believe this. Nobody's going to want to go into the White House. I can tell you that right now.
From many locations, if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on, and we had a lot of people.
Persecution, huh? Isn't that what you're doing to the Democratic side of the party out here in America? You're going after every Democrat. You're going after every liberal-leaning association, law firm, press, everything. Oh, wait. We're just talking about persecution for people you like.
I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that. It'll be the end of the country if it's not.
It'll be the end of the country if they don't stop it. Now, this is a theory that has been pushed by Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, and white supremacist David Duke that these white farmers in the countryside are being overrun by black people being killed and their property is being taken. Yeah, okay. There's no substantiation for this at all, but let us continue.
So next, Trump asked his staff to dim the lights and roll in a television. Once the lights were dimmed and
you know things are getting serious when we lower the lights.
the television was there, they played a video that Trump claimed showed evidence of genocide against white farmers. Here's the reality as reported by the New York Times. Quote, there have been killings of white South Africans, but police statistics show they are not killed at a higher rate than other South Africans. And while the South African government did pass a law permitting the government to take land without compensation, the process is subject to judicial review. President Ramaphosa did his part to fact check Donald Trump in real time.
Good luck with that.
He added that he didn't even recognize some of the locations in the video. Here's what
the president of the country didn't even recognize some of the places on the video. Can you say AI?
he had to say.
Do you want to know where to invest $1,000?
Okay, let's move out of that. We're done with that. It's the president of South Africa goes in for a meeting with the president. Hey, that was a little commercial. If you want to advertise, go ahead and talk to super producer Stacy. He is telling him what's going on in his own country. They ambushed him. They brought in video screens. They brought up falsified videos about this whole thing. Now, we're talking about a black president of South Africa who was part of Nelson Mandela's cabinet, a man who was put in prison for 28 years for something he didn't do, okay, who was the voice of the anti-apartheid movement. Remember, South Africa for the last couple hundred years has been ruled by a minority of whites in a country that is predominantly black. Now Trump is saying, oh, there's a couple farmers out there who are being attacked, who got killed. Okay, maybe it did. Hey, this just in, Don? We had 2 unfortunate shootings of Jewish people in America. Hey, I could tell you, I live in LA. There was 7 shootings yesterday here. Are you going to talk about them? No. If it's white or if it's Jewish, it goes to the top of the list. Everybody else, you can get to the back. This is a country that has suffered from apartheid. The South African president is trying to bring his country together, and Donald Trump is going to pick out something that is totally erroneous, totally false, and plaster it across the entire world. This makes America look incredibly feeble and weak when he perpetuates these lies. Look, you could sit here and go on Fox News or News Nation or whatever you want to do. The world knows the truth. They know, look, there's crime everywhere. I'm not arguing. But they are not targeting and taking white landowners' land in the farms, in the suburbs, or in the country, whatever you want to call it. It's just bullshit. But, you know, hey, let's just take that for what it is. Bullshit is just Donald Trump's middle name, right? All right. The big beautiful bill is moving slowly through the House. Seemed like it got out of committee on Wednesday night. They're talking about on Thursday today that they're going to put it for a vote. We shall see. We shall see how that all turns out. But Wall Street doesn't seem to be too happy about it. They moved, as the House of Representatives moved forward on the big beautiful bill, the dollar fell dramatically. Also, the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ fell precipitously. And the mood on the street in the economic markets is that Wall Street is increasingly worried about the deficits that are going to be added and the amount of money that is going to be added to the national debt, which is already at $36 trillion. And Chip Roy and Thomas Massey came out the other day and said this is going to add $20 trillion to the national debt. Now, let's be honest. Nobody gives a rat's ass about the national debt. They don't. I mean, they're like, oh, yeah, that's just something that's crazy, whatever. Our interest payments on the debt last year were $820 billion. We have a $6.8 trillion national debt, or a deficit last year, right? Or that's our budget. Okay? I'm getting a little hamstrung. I'm a little loopy, okay? Forgive me. But understand this, that is basically 1/8. This year it's going to go over $1 trillion. Now, if the markets are in upheaval, interest rates are going to go up. Everybody has this pseudo fantasy that the interest rates are going to go down. I'm telling you right now, the tariffs are coming in. We just have seen, and we are going to find out if Walmart actually does put the 25% tariff on goods this month. We've got a couple big retailers out there. We got Target, we got Walmart, we got Amazon, we got Home Depot. Home Depot said they're going to eat the cost. Okay. Walmart gets over 60% of their goods from China. All right. They don't have a profit structure where they can absorb the 25% increase in tariffs. Now, if it used to be 2.5% to 8%, just depending. Okay, they could probably absorb that. They put that into their cost figures, their operating module. And now what we're seeing is one of these guys is going to break. And when Walmart or Amazon, which we saw they almost did last month, breaks, everybody's going to follow. They're just waiting to see who can be the first guy in the pool, right? Let's just see what happens. If Walmart breaks here, things are going to start to tumble, and they're going to start to tumble real goddamn quick. The stock market is already perceiving that. They are talking about how is the United States government going to increase its deficits, increase its debt. Forget what they tell you. They're going to come out of committee. Mike Johnson, that just feeble human being is going to come out and say, "Oh, this is debt neutral." You're going to hear probably a lot of that in the next couple days. Debt neutral. Bullshit. Bullshit. And then, hey, let's throw on one more bullshit, right? This is going to expand it because what you're doing, and let's put it unequivocally clear, you are giving money to the rich and taking away health care from the poor. That is what you are doing. And I had that podcast last week about the inequality gap that's growing in America, and it is moving at an exponential rate. I think, the top 3% control 50% of the wealth. The top 20% control 87, 90% of the wealth. The bottom 50% only have 2% of the wealth. I mean, come on. At what point does the revolution start? And everybody's going to go, oh my God, what are we doing? At some point, they've got to tax the rich. And this bill that is moving through isn't going to do it. Chip Hubley, who's the manager of the trust fund, it's a big Wall Street mutual fund, said although Moody's decision to downgrade the U.S. sovereign credit rating last Friday from AAA to AA1 was unsurprising, it does focus on the real issues at hand, the U.S. growing deficit and debt burden and ability to pay it back. No kidding, right? The weak demand for U.S. treasuries comes as the Wall Street is already fretting over the potential for Donald Trump's big, beautiful tax bill to add to the deficit. Yeah, and put pressure on the federal debt burden. This is a real thing. It's coming, and here we are. All right, let's move on. It's amazing. I grew up in an era where the Republicans were considered the fiscally responsible party. And at the end of the day, everybody just spends money. Let's all not forget the last time we had a balanced budget and a surplus, it was Bill Clinton, a Democrat. Oh, Barack Obama was bringing down the deficit. Oh, yeah. Donald Trump added $7.5 trillion to the deficit in 4 years. Oh, forgot about that. Joe Biden was bringing down the deficit in his 4th year. Oh, forgot about that. Yeah. The perception is the Democrats are the spenders and the Republicans are the fiscally responsible. That's all bullshit. And I can't wait to see what those 5 hardline fiscal hawks in the Republican Party, Chip Roy, Massey, Norman from South Carolina, I can't wait to see what their vote is. That Mike Johnson is just trying to push it in there and put pressure on them to say, are you going to stop President Trump's bill? Let's see. Let's see if they're really men of their word. They're going to find a way out of it. They're going to vote for it. They're all a bunch of idiots. They're all a bunch of cuckolds as far as I'm concerned. They're not doing what's right for America, what they've been saying for the last 20 years. Oh, I'm all about this. Yeah, until the time it comes to put your name on a vote. Yeah, goddamn bunch of pussies. That's all I could say. All right, the Defense Department announced yesterday they're going to accept the luxury 747 from Qatari. I call that the Trump Retirement Fund. Trump has pushed for this. Obviously, the Republicans in his party are saying that's okay. It's nothing to see here. It's just a bribe. Do you remember back, nostalgically, when the Republicans were saying that the $200,000 a month Hunter Biden was giving was going to corrupt Joe Biden because he had access to Joe Biden? So they were paying $2.4 million a year, okay, to Hunter Biden. And look, the look isn't good, okay? It's not. I'm not going to get into Ivanka and Jared and what they're doing with Saudi Arabia. Let's just talk about the Democrats. That look wasn't good. But Trump came in and said, I'm going to show you what real corruption is. Think about it. He took a $400 million jet in front of our eyes. And this is insane, our tax dollars are going to go to retrofit. The estimates, it could be up to $1 billion, could take 3 years. And then when it's all done, it gets transferred to the Trump library for his personal use. There is no Trump library right now. Yeah. It's a retirement. So think about it. They want us to jump up and down like Rumpelstiltskin on Hunter Biden getting $2.4 million a year, which I agree looks sleazy. I'm not going to say it isn't. But wow, compared to $400 million, and that's just the first go-round. I mean, think about it. This is going to embolden the president. He got $400 million in plain sight, and everybody's like, yeah, no big deal. They're not even talking about the $5.5 billion resort that his son, dumb Eric, I know he was switched to the hospital. I know he was, is running in Qatar, and I'm sure he's running it really intelligently. That guy can barely breathe and walk at the same time. All right. So here we go. This is the first salvo. This is it. And now everything is cool. There is so much chaos in this administration. Nobody is even talking about that. All right. And finally, let's talk about one of my favorite idiots in the Trump administration, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. And let me tell you, if you put the word intelligence with Tulsi Gabbard in the same sentence, it automatically becomes an oxymoron. Those two things are never in conjunction with each other, right? She ordered intelligence analysts, to rewrite an assessment that contradicted Trump's claim that Venezuela directs the gang Tren de Aragua. Now, this is what he used for the Alien Enemies Act, if you remember, from 1879, I believe it was. And the argument was a foreign government has a cell inside the United States they are directing against the United States. Do you think Trump's looking into Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11? Oh, sorry. He got a jet. He got a jet and he got a golf resort. Sorry, I wasn't thinking. Maybe the Venezuelan people got to start figuring out how to get him a boat. So all the intelligence, when Trump made that claim from the United States intelligence apparatus, was there's no connection between the Venezuelan government and this gang that is in the United States. Right? Makes perfect sense. I mean, the gang's doing what the gang does. Look, I live in L.A. There's the Crips, the Bloods. The government has no connection what they do. They are just making money on money. Oh, well, back in the day, Ronald Reagan was bringing in cocaine for Ross to sell so they could fund the Nicaraguan war, but that's us. We can do that stuff. We know how to do it. Oh, wait, that was a Republican. Yeah, okay, right? The original assessment, dated February 26, found no credible evidence linking Venezuela's government to gang operations in the U.S. Well, Tulsi Gabbard is having analysts review that. And then they reviewed it once and said, yeah, that's our still assessment. Then she had to review it. She's going to keep reviewing it until she gets the answer she wants, that they can use that. Good luck. This is the same party that said there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Yeah. Where we lost 15,000 soldiers and spent tens of trillions of dollars. Yeah. I trust them. All right, that's it today for the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. If you could so kindly hit that like and subscribe button. I just want to tell you I love you all. We're in this together, and we're going to win because we're on the side of right, we're on the side of good, and we're fighting for democracy. Not just for ourselves, but for our kids, for our brothers and sisters, for our kids' kids. All right, I'll see you soon on Scorched Earth.